Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I'm Star Smart. Let's begin. The erstwhile political force was created by meaningful, sound-minded Southern Cameroonians, peace up with subjugations, annihilations, marginalization, and enslavement of Ambazonians by La République du Cameroon in order to retaliate and restore the integrity and dignity of the peace-loving people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Frundi, who had the charisma at the time, took the mantle and swiftly won the 1992 presidential elections in La République du Cameroon. But the French would not allow an alien and Ambazonian rule La République du Cameroon. Frundi was deprived of that privilege and put under house arrest. Well, with the launch of the 2023 war draft, the game changer, on February 25, 2023, coded the winning phase by the interim government, every stronghold of Franco-Cameroon and Southern Cameroon, Amazonia, would be dismantled. Well, we have interesting reports to bring to you in and out of Ambazonia, and we'll get into that just after the prime headlines.
These are the prime headlines for today. Let's start with a story, a very sad story, how a taxi got involved in a ghastly accident because of policemen. Also today, we will be looking at the story, Frundi's SDF unable to fight the Amazonian fight for freedom. And of course, you should know why. Also today, Amazonian fighters on the first day of March attack Franco-Cameroon strongholds in Amazonia. Today in West Africa, we will be looking at, of course, updated version of the happenings in Nigeria. And also, Colonial Domboya, president of Guinea, has hired jets to bring back his citizens being maltreated by Tunisia. Russia blames Ukrainian terrorists after reports of fighting near Ukraine border. Now, let's get the news in detail.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, and 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
Taxi used by colonial policemen to chase other vehicles involved in ghastly accidents. Well, it is now very much obvious that the subject with the highest coefficient thought in the Colonial Republic of Cameroon Police Training Institution is making money by all means. They are engaged in all types of unhealthy acts just to fill their pockets, and at times with devastating consequences. Well, this report says because of 500 francs CFA, Republic of Cameroon policemen has put many in the Atlantic zone of Ambazonia, precisely Molewi, in critical condition after engaging them in an accident. Are these Bulu thugs not having salaries that they act so beggarly and desperate on the streets? Well, this is where we will begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Oni Opala. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, Oni. I'm doing very well. Good evening, Ambazonians. Many Ambazonians are in hospitals, nursing wounds from an accident actually, that could have been avoided before the greediness of a colonial Republic of Cameroon police officer. The greedy jumped himself into a taxi at gunpoint forced the taxi driver to follow a private car. The report holds that the private car failed to stop at an extortion at La Republique du Cameroon police checkpoint. The greedy policeman that Undaunted was unable to get the name at press time, not willing to let go of any friends, decided to go after the private car. The taxi used by this greedy La Republique du Cameroon agent to chase up the private car collided with another vehicle, injuring many people, with others in critical conditions.
Well, the accident is blamed on the excessive speed of the taxi. The policeman on board the taxi, in order not to miss the private car target, instructed the driver to drive at high speed. Many families are affected as a result of the action of one greedy man. Now, the taxi driver is also greatly affected by the accident as he is in critical condition and his car is damaged. Breadwinners and many families are now nursing wounds from the accident in the hospital. Well, the question is, who will feed and care for their families?
An unfortunate one right there. Well, we'll get on with the next story for tonight. UNDAUNTED takes...
Where, Lord? Where now would they listen? Where, Papa God? Hey, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
See me trouble,
Jesus.
I don't see the kind of thing, no. See
Where?
the women, I don't see the kind of
Where,
thing, no.
Papa God? Where?
What is this? What kind of trouble is this?
Where?
We support the light, so broad them like when you
Where, Jesus?
What is this? What is this?
What's happening now? Oh, Lord. Where?
You don't know sense. Can't keep put them. My one.
Where? And policeman they inside. Oh, Papa God. Where? Lord? Oh, Papa.
Oh, well, now into the next report. UNDAUNTED takes the liberty once again to remind bona fide Southern Cameroons Ambazonians that the erstwhile political force was carried by meaningful, sound-minded Southern Cameroonians, peace up with subjugations, and a whole lot more by La Republique du Cameroon in order to retaliate and restore the integrity and dignity of the peace-loving people of the Southern Cameroons Ambazonia.
Fundi, who had the charisma at that time, took the mantle and swiftly won the 1992 presidential elections in La Republique du Cameroon. But the French would not allow an alien, that is, an Ambazonia, rule La Republique du Cameroon. Fundi was deprived of that privilege and put under house arrest. Bamenda was choked by the colonial La Republique du Cameroon military. Fundi was a hero at that time, but instead of using the disgrace given him by the French and La Republique du Cameroon to strengthen the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, he was enticed by his inordinate love for the France CFA to embrace and dine and wine with La Republique du Cameroon. Today, Fundi is the #1 enemy of the Ambazonian quest for freedom. Well, last weekend's controversial decision dismissing party top notches has put the East-Wild political force at crossroads in 6th and 7th and a bone of contention. The divorce between their MP Jean-Michel Ninchu and the Social Democratic Front SDF of John Fundi has been finalized. Jean-Michel Ninchu should continue to sit in the National Assembly.
UNDAUNTED just gathered that some members of the G27 Plus platform of the SDF, who were last Saturday expelled from the party, have been firing missives at the national chairman John Frundi. The members have described their dismissal as a miscarriage of justice. The NEC decision stated that by seeking external legal redress to grievances that are internal in nature, bypassing all the organs and statutory dispositions of the party, such members are by this act forfeiting their rights to membership. Following the NEC resolution, which has been raising controversy, the dismissed members have taken turns to vent their anger and indignation.
Well, the loudest voice was the part of Jean-Michel Incho, who recognized he had taken note of his dismissal. He issued a statement to the National Assembly demanding all deduction made from his salary for SDF to be stopped immediately. The real issue is to know if Jean-Michel Incho will continue to be considered by the institution as a deputy of the party that invested in him. As the CPDM has an overwhelming majority in the National Assembly, the question did not arise in 2011.
Well, the answer to this question could have an impact on the configuration of the Bureau of the National Assembly. Article 17 of the Rules of Procedure of the Lower House of Parliament stipulates that the Bureau represents the political configuration of the National Assembly. If Jean-Michel Ninshu is no longer considered as a member of the SDF, the number of elected members of this party would drop from 5 to 4. The situation would make the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, PCRN, the third political force in the National Assembly after the CPDM, 152 members of parliament, and the UNDP, National Union for Democracy and Progress, 7 members of parliament.
The immediate consequence is that the SDF could lose the post of Quester to Cabral Libiu PCRN during the season. In any case, in his correspondence, Jean-Michel Nichus asks the Secretary General of the National Assembly to draw all the legal consequences relating to the constitution of the Bureau of the August House for the season that opens in March. Worthy to note that the Social Democratic Front SDF meeting in the National Executive Committee on Saturday, February 2015, Yaoundé, removed 33 activists from his political party.
Well, the new excluded are activists who have been victims of Article 8.2, an SDF article that sanctions unruly activists of this political party, with as an emblematic figure being Honorable Jean-Michel Ninchu, Deputy of the Nation and Regional President of the SDF in the littoral of La République du Cameroun. He thus lost the first round of the tough battle in the succession struggle between him and Joshua Osei. In fact, over time, the SDF chairman, John Frundi, has been unable to federate all minds around him or manage the dissensions that intervene in the life and evolution of any social organization.
But what were these new parties' exclusions still worth for 3 or 4 elections? All were in decline, unable to bring significant victories to the party. Now, they represent more balls than axes. The Smiths, alongside Honorable Nincho, were Honorable Audu Mbaya, Honorable Yo-Yo Emmanuel, Kofi Kale, Senator Nkenzi Emilia.
Now on to the next report. Intelligence reports reaching Undaunted say La République du Cameroon's Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Mutaze, has been banned from leaving the country amid an investigation into his alleged involvement in the assassination of journalist Martinez Zogo. Undaunted sources gathered late February 28 this year that a prosecutor is seeking charges against Mr. Mutaze, who has been asked to explain his links with a key suspect in the killing, who is none other than a supposed La République du Cameroon's business tycoon, Amugu Belinga.
An intelligence report presents records showing that the 2 men had multiple phone calls just as before their assassination, prosecutor says. Undaunted source hints that Colonial La République du Cameroon finance boss Minister Mutaz reportedly wrote to Prime Minister Dion Ngote asking for permission to lead a delegation abroad for the signing with Société Générale, whose headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, an amendment to a contract on the program to secure customs revenues.
Well, it is equally worthy to note that on February 23, 2023, The Secretary General at the Colonial Prime Minister's office in Yaoundé wrote to Mutaze to inform him that in-house slave Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute has rejected his request. Kidnapped during the night of January 17, 2023, in Yaoundé, the journalist and whistleblower Arsène Salomon Mbami Zogo, alias Martinez Zogo, was found on January 22nd, lifeless and his body mutilated after going through inhumane torture from his captors.
Since his gruesome murder, several high-profile La Republic Declaration personalities have been indicted as the journalist had very glaring incriminating facts. Colonial La Republic de Cameroon's Finance Minister Motaz Nin and that of Colonial La Republic de Cameroon's Justice Minister Laurent Esso were mentioned during the hearings related to the murder of Martinez Zogo. The Colonial La Republic de Cameroon head of state, Paul Biya, could at any time give his high approval for the auditioning of these two ministers.
We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best. We the people, ABC Amba TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa.
Well, with the launch of the 2023 war draft, the game changer by the interim government, every stronghold of Franco-Cameroon in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia has been made to be dismantled. Launched February 25, 2023, encoded the winning phase with a focus to get the front fighters well coordinated and solidified in dismantling the Franco-Cameroon hegemony in Ambazonia has taken effect. Evidence of the exploits of fighters Wednesday, March 1st, 2023.
Now, they stopped the commercial activities of Total petrol station at the Colonial Patrimony in Nkwem and equally dismantled the convoy of the terrorist La Republic de Cameroon military in Ngokentuje County. The Ambazonian fighters of Ngokentuje, under the commandership of Field Marshal Asagon, shattered an armored car belonging to La Republic de Cameroon, used in inflicting suffering on the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. With the use of an improvised explosive device, which happened on Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, FM Asagun succeeded in grounding an armored car of the La Republic de Cameroon military, sending the occupants to a very far place.
Well, all that is left for the neighboring La Republic de Cameroon, still not willing to back out completely from Ambazonia, is counting their losses as the interim government has strategies to finance the front fighters. While on Wednesday, March 1st, still in the Menda Midland zone of Ambazonia, Colonel Commander and his boys paid a visit of respect to one of the colonial hegemony in Ambazonia, Total filling station of Nkwem. They stopped the usual business that was going on before setting the patrol station ablaze. Though the fire was put out after their departure, the message is clear that the old has gone and the new has come for a complete takeover of Ambazonia by Ambazonians.
Well, this year, unlike in the past, the interim government intends to carry the exercise zone by zone, meaning the draft that was launched on Saturday, February 25th, with the Savannah launching and supported by the rest of the zones and all Amazonians of good faith all over the world. So this means that from Savannah, the train will move to the Midlands and the Atlantic. After the zones, the draft will go round again, county by county. Now, this new strategy will mobilize and concentrate funds in the center treasury to avoid money pilfering through the wrong hands and hindering progress. Well, it will be strictly for the federal government and projects focused aimed at realizing feasible projects, revamping the troops to redouble firepower on the home front and put the enemy at bay once and for all. Now, the interim government says that this year is a year of acceleration to hit the final nail on the enemy La Republique du Cameroon. The interim government affirms that La Republique du Cameroon is collapsing and the handwriting is on the wall. Let's see that video from Ngoken Tuja.
And then this comes on. And then this. One. FM Sagon. In the Endeavor Road. Two. Oh. Wait. But one. You're right.
Well, now into the African reports. On the post-elections in Nigeria, we brought to you on Tuesday the post-electoral reactions of Nigerians, and it wasn't exactly one of joy, apart from Nigerians lamenting on social media on the irregularities of INEC's procedures and results. We also had a Labour Party that alleged most of its members were deliberately disenfranchised through varied means across the country, but were more discerning in its strongholds.
The party, in a statement on Sunday issued by the National Secretary, Alhaji Umar Farouk Ibrahim, said while the party made inroads with high votes in most part of northern Nigeria, the Labour Party members were deliberately prevented from voting. He says that they were chased away violently from polling units or even had ballot boxes and papers destroyed and burnt in others. He went on to say that he cited Lagos State, Rivers State, Bayelsa, Kano, Yobe, and Edo States among places where such acts were rampantly perpetrated in violation of the Electoral Act of 2022 as amended. Now, Umar Farouk said in some places, the Independent National Electoral Commission staff and electoral materials were not deployed to areas that are known to be strongholds of the Labour Party, or even deployed late to frustrate the party supporters who psychologically got tired of waiting and had to leave the polling units for the fear of the unknown.
Well, we've also seen criticism by the United States, the EU, European Union, the Commonwealth, and international observer groups trailing the conduct of the exercise amid allegations of widespread irregularities, rigging, and manipulations of the result. Well, observers from the United States of America, the European Union, African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the Commonwealth all noted the irregularities in the polls.
Not just them, even the International Republican Institute and National Democratic Institute Joint Election Observation Mission noted that inadequate communication and lack of transparency by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, created confusion and eroded voters' trust in the process.
Interestingly, agents of other political parties had INEC to question. An agent of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Dino Milai, his Labour Party counterpart, Honorable Umar Farouk Ibrahim, Action People's Party, APP, Chinemelo Uba, and the African Democratic Congress, ADC, all staged a walkout at the National Collation Center in Abuja alleging that the electoral process was flawed. After a long silence from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, he addressed a press conference in Abuja today, stating that declaration of a winner in the just concluded presidential elections was not the end.
Well, he also said, in his words, we will explore all the legal and peaceful means to reclaim our mandate. We won the election. He goes on to say, Dati and I are committed to the mandate of Nigerians. Well, the Labour Party candidate vowed to challenge the process of the Saturday, February 25th presidential election in the courts in Nigeria. When asked to present evidences on how the election was manipulated, Mr. Peter Obi simply said he doesn't want to answer questions on his way to the court.
Well, let's hear part of what he said at the International Press Conference today.
And I assure you that good people of Nigeria, that will explore all legal and peaceful options to reclaim our mandate. We won the election, and we'll prove it to Nigerians.
Well, also in Africa, the West African state of Guinea precisely, is repatriating dozens of its citizens from Tunisia. A senior official said Wednesday, after Tunisian President Kais Saied triggered a storm by accusing sub-Saharan migrants of crime. The foreign ministry official told AFP that the ruling junta had leased an aircraft to bring about 50 Guineans in Tunisia who said they wanted to return home. The information was confirmed by a senior official at the Conakry airport.
As earlier, the president's office issued a statement saying that Foreign Minister Morisanda Kouyaté was heading to Tunisia aboard a government aircraft to provide urgent support for Guineans there. Now, this is Guinea's first repatriation flight since Said ordered security forces to take urgent measures against hordes of sub-Saharan African migrants, accusing them without evidence of causing a wave of crime and plotting to change the country's demographic makeup.
Well, many of the estimated 21,000 sub-Saharan African migrants in Tunisia, most of whom are irregular, have lost their jobs and housing overnight. Others have been stopped by police and some have reported physical attacks. Dozens of migrants have flocked to their embassies, particularly those of Ivory Coast and Mali, asking to return home. Several countries have announced repatriation flights for volunteer returnees.
Well, you can say this is a nice, laudable gesture, right? Sadly, other African notable Ambazonians have no godfathers to bring them back. Well, we need a free Ambazonia so that President Samuel Sako can have the means to look after our people. But think about it. Why are Africans running away to other climes? Why has African leaders, presidents, and the rest not ensuring that her people are comfortable at home? We know that Africa as a whole has a long way to go, especially in development and technology, but then we need her people home and not away. We must again commend the president of Guinea. Sadly, other Africans, I repeat, notably Ambazonians, have no godfathers to bring them back. We need a free Ambazonian just so that President Samuel Ikome Sako can have the means to look after our people. And on the foreign scene, Russia blames Ukrainian terrorists after reports of fighting near Ukraine border. Now, the Kremlin claimed Russia had been attacked by terrorists after conflicting reports of firefights emerged from the Bryansk and Kursk region, which Russian media claimed on Ukrainian sabotage groups, and Ukrainian sources called it a provocation. Well, the reports of fighting in Russia near the Ukrainian border began on Thursday morning. The head of the Bryansk region claimed that a sabotage group opened fire on a moving automobile. As a result, one resident was killed. A 10-year-old child was also injured.
Well, other reports of hostages being taken or school buses being fired upon have been discredited even by local Russian officials. In an online statement later, corroborated by the independent Russian news site iStories, a group called the Russian Volunteer Corps claimed its fighters had crossed the border into Russia on Thursday but denied reports of civilian casualties. The reports of the attack set off a flurry of activity in the Kremlin and at Russia's security services. Russia's FSB security services claimed it had launched an operation to destroy armed Ukrainian nationalists who violated the state border. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the President Vladimir Putin would plan to hold a meeting of the Security Council, Russia's main military decision-making body, on Friday. Peskov said he had also cancelled a trip to Stavropol.
Well, G20 talks fails to reach consensus in Ukraine war. A meeting of top diplomats from the G20 industrialized and developing nations in the New Delhi has ended with no consensus on the war in Ukraine. Most G20 members strongly condemned the Ukrainian war, with Russia and China disagreeing, said the G20 presidents in India after the meeting. India's foreign minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar said there was divergences on the issue of the war in Ukraine, which we could not reconcile as various parties had differing views.
Well, he said if we had a perfect meeting of minds on all issues, it would have been a collective statement. Much of the talks were dominated by discussions of the war and China's widening global influence. He said, adding that members agreed on most issues involving the concerns of less developed nations, like strengthening multilateralism, promoting food and energy security, climate change, gender issues, and counterterrorism.
And coming next is sports, but right after the break. Hey, welcome back. Well, on today's sports, let's give Gab Ellison the chance to report in full detail.
Latest world sports. Football. FA Cup draw. Manchester City face Vincent Kompany's Burnley in quarterfinals. Manchester City will host Vincent Kompany's Burnley in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. City legend Kompany, who played for the club from 2008 to 2019, has guided the Clarets to the top of the championship in his first season in charge. League 2 Grimsby, the lowest ranked side left in the cup, go to Brighton and Hove Albion, and Manchester United host Fulham in an all-Premier League tie. Sheffield United played championship rivals Blackburn in the final matchup. The Blade-stunned Tottenham Hotspur, who were fourth in the Premier League on Wednesday, while Blackburn upset Leicester City in their fifth-round fixture. Grimsby produced the result of the round by winning 2-1 at Premier League bottom club Southampton to reach the quarterfinals of the FA Cup for the first time since 1939. The last 8 ties will be played from 17 to 19 March. FA Cup quarterfinal draw: Manchester City versus Burnley, Manchester United versus Fulham, Brighton and Hove Albion versus Grimsby Town, Sheffield United versus Blackburn Rovers. Ivan Toney. Brentford forward worried about FA disciplinary process. Ivan Toney says he is worried about the Football Association's disciplinary process after media speculation surrounded the length of his potential ban for gambling-related charges. The Brentford forward has said the FA told him details of his upcoming hearing would remain confidential until a decision was made. Some news outlets have reported that Toney will be banned for 6 months. Toney was charged with 232 breaches in November and a further 30 in December. The 26-year-old has accepted breaking FA betting rules before his appearance in front of a disciplinary panel. It is understood he has admitted many of the offenses, but is contesting others. FA Rule E8 bans players from betting on games or sharing information for betting purposes. Tony posted on Instagram, I was shocked and disappointed to see press speculation yesterday and today about the FA investigation process concerning me after I have been told by the FA that it is a confidential process until any decision has been made. It is especially disturbing for me to read that the FA is saying I shall be banned from football for 6 months before there has even been a hearing, and it does make me worried about the process. My lawyers will be writing to the FA to request that they conduct a leak inquiry, as this is the second time stories have appeared in the newspapers. The last time was just a continue to be told the investigation is meant to be confidential. I am unable to provide any further comment. I shall continue to concentrate on my football. The alleged breaches took place between 25th February 2017 and 23rd January 2021, during which time Tony represented Scunthorpe United, Wigan Athletic, Peterborough United, and Brentford. The forward has scored 14 goals in 21 Premier League games this season, helping Brentford to ninth in the table and in contention for European qualification. The FA has declined to comment. Cycling. Italian cyclist Antonio Tiberi fined after killing San Marino tourism minister's cat with air rifle. A court in San Marino has fined Italian professional cyclist Antonio Tiberi €4,000 after he pleaded guilty to shooting a cat belonging to the tiny republic's Minister of Tourism, Federico Pedini Amati. A court spokesperson confirmed to CNN. Tiberi, an Italian who lives in San Marino, also risks losing his residency status after the conviction. He admitted to testing out an air rifle he purchased last June by aiming at the head of the cat belonging to his neighbor, Amati, according to the court. The cat immediately died in the incident. The 21-year-old Tiberi, who won a time trial bronze at the Junior European Road Championships in 2018 and a time trial gold at the Junior Road World Championships in 2019, apologized for the incident on Twitter. I deeply regret my shameful actions, he wrote in a statement. I did something tremendously stupid and irresponsible, the seriousness and danger of which I realized only after the act. I don't want to make excuses. Tiberi added that he would donate his prize money from the season's winnings to animal welfare organizations in San Marino, as well as volunteering with those organizations in person. A Trek Segafredo team also tweeted a response, condemning Tiberi for his actions and announcing that it will suspend him for a minimum of 20 days without pay, which will include 3 races in Italy. The team said it will donate Tiberi's suspended pay to an appropriate animal care, protection, and rescue organization. Trek Segafredo would like to reiterate its great disappointment in Antonio's conduct. The statement said, the team strives to help riders improve, not just as athletes, but as men and women. The team will work closely with Antonio to ensure he educates himself and expects him to take necessary steps to express his remorse and become a better person. Pedini Amati told Italy's Corriere della Sera newspaper that the cat was a beloved pet of his 3-year-old daughter, Lucia, who loved it. He condemned the light sentence and fine and called for Tiberi's residency to be stripped. You cannot kill a pet and get away with a €4,000 fine, Pedini Amati said. I appreciated that the young man admitted the fact. Having said that, we do not need to give residence to these people. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
All right, with that sports report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, let's take a look at the highlights for tonight.
On Undaunted tonight, we told you that a taxi used by a colonial policeman to chase another vehicle involved in a ghastly accident. Also, Burundi's SDF unable to fight the Ambazonian fight for freedom. Amba fighters on March 1st attacked Franco-Cameroon strongholds in Ambazonia.
All right, tonight we told you that Colonel Dom Boyer, that's the president of Guinea, has hired jets to bring back his citizens being maltreated by Tunisia. On the foreign scene, we also told you that Russia has blamed Ukrainian terrorists after reports of fighting near the Ukraine border. And that was it for tonight. Undaunted, bringing to the news on top stories. On behalf of my co-anchor here, Star Smart, and the entire Undaunted crew, we say thank you for tuning in.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you.